All right, everyone. So, Road Dogg, who is a WWE executive now, deleted a tweet that he posted over our truth, right? So, him being let go and not being renewed. He said, I'm heartbroken. It's the nature of the beast, the part of business that no one likes, that but the bean counters. I love Ron, the truth killings, and I don't care who knows it. What a run. You look here, I didn't realize this, but they were actually tag team partners in 2000, which is pretty cool. And I think it was his debut. So that's pretty darn cool, I will say. That's pretty cool. But I don't understand why exactly he deleted this. I didn't think this was anything really attacking the company. In fact, he's kind of making the argument that this is sad. I wish it didn't happen, but he doesn't even say like there was no reason for it to happen. It looks like I mean, maybe the bean counters thing is why he deleted it, right? Maybe he's saying that you have people that are just looking at the bottom line and but this is what we said. When you have a change in WWE and you have this major, kind of merger, I think that's what you would, right? Because, yeah, the TKO thing, right? And you have all of this company is going to be much different. This is not the company it was just 3 years ago, and this is one of the things, right? This isn't something where you're gonna have a guy who's been very loyal to WWE, who's been very, look, he's this guy's been around forever, and our truth is so even to this day, it was funny. We touched on that a little bit in our prior video we did on this. Even to this day, he's still like his segments on Raw or SmackDown, wherever it was, they were really, really good. And they didn't even take up a lot of time. You didn't need a 30-minute segment or something or a 30-minute match to get our truth to have a good match or segment. Literally, you put him in there for 2 seconds and he makes the crowd laugh. Like, I loved every aspect of it, but that no longer is going to fly, I don't think, in the company where if they feel like they could save money, if they feel like, they're going to be bringing somebody else up. So, like, I really do think, and put in the comment section if you have like a devil's advocate opinion on this, because I'm always interested to hear from you guys and kind of maybe where I'm missing out. But I really do feel like if when Vince was in charge, let's use this exact example. I don't think Vince would care as much to lose the money he may be losing um, to keep someone like our truth on the roster, right? If he thought, okay, maybe maybe we're spending more money than we're bringing in on him, but this is a guy who's been with us forever. The fans still like him. We're just gonna keep him because of that. I don't think Vince would have gotten rid of him, to be honest. I think this is a newer thing. Even if, he's not even on TV all the time, I'm not sure Vince would have been. We talked about this in a way in the beginning when they fired some of the behind the scenes people. The the message from the reports we read was like, yeah, this is a change, right? There is a huge change behind the scenes in terms of people that would have had basically jobs for life. They're gone now, which I think is interesting. And I kind of talked about that a little bit from the beginning, right? Is that a lot of people were so happy with the direction of the company, which I think the direction has been great. I really have loved everything Triple H has done. I think the storytelling is good. I think they're doing great with the farewell tour and building stars, and there's so much talent, and none of this is easy. But we got to take every change has some good and some bad, and I think this is one of the bad aspects we're going to run into, which is you're going to see a lot more of this. I mean, even with Carlito, he's another one who just got um, you know, he's not going to be renewed. I loved Carlito. He's such a good part of the Judgment Day. He's funny. Um, he. I understand that maybe whatever salary you're paying him isn't going to match up with the money he's bringing in, but sometimes you lose a little bit of money on one guy, but it creates such a much better show. And then all the money you're making on some of your big stars, they're the ones that kind of make up for that loss. And that's I think something that maybe WWE is missing here because our Truth and Carlito were they kind of played similar roles of that comic relief, but they were big parts of the show. And I do think that Judgment Day is going to be a little bit worse without Carlito in the faction. I think, not having these funny R Truth segments, even think about what they just did with Cena. I wasn't necessarily overly excited for Cena versus R Truth until the match came on. And when the match comes on, I see R Truth come out in Ron Cena gear and he's, wearing John Cena's gear. It was awesome. It was so funny. And it was like, you know what? This was a good match. That's what my feeling was at the end of it. I didn't love it going in, but He made it work because he's very talented. Now we're not gonna even get any of that, and I think that is gonna be a big loss. Now, it's making room for some of these NXT stars that are coming up, and fine, right? I'm all for building these new stars. I just think, you know, and I also, you don't know the behind the scenes either, because maybe there was a level of, they would have been willing to renegotiate a contract with either Carlito or R Truth, and were like, "Look, we're gonna do it for what our contract is. I'm not gonna take a huge pay cut to stay." Maybe that was part of the problem. Maybe there was, a level that they could have wanted to keep him, but they chose not to. These are all things we don't really know, and it's all behind the scenes stuff. It's just, I think, important for people to recognize that this is now the company, right? This is what the company is going to be. There's not gonna, a company like this is not gonna be wasting money. It's just, if they feel like something's not bringing in enough, right? They're paying out and they're not bringing it in enough, they're not gonna be renewed, which is, I do think, a change. It's not to say Vince never fired anyone, because of course he did, but the company culture is certainly going to be changing. And I think most people would say, well, a lot of that's for the good, right? We've seen a lot of reports saying it's been much better and all of that. But on something like this, right? I don't, I look, once a superstar, they view him as, okay, it's over, it's done. I think that's probably going to be it for them. They're not going to have kind of these lifetime deals almost, but we will see what happens going forward. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.